She was wearing blue because everyone expects me to wear blue. And I really rather like wearing this fuchsia color now and then. And I remember I was going to a dinner one evening. It was a press dinner. And I thought, well, they won't necessarily expect me to be in party political colors. And I borrowed a dress. It was so glamorous, much more glamorous than I would usually wear. A lovely crimson one. And all went well, and I did my speech. And then they gave me a bouquet. And you know, they had dyed every flower blue. I felt terrible. Terrible. I thought I should have been in blue. I hope it doesn't matter being in this color.
It's perfect for our set.
That sounds really rather like question time at the House of Commons.
I'm sorry, perhaps I'm a frustrated politician. May I take you back? When did you know that you wanted to be a politician?
I can remember really quite well. I was at university, and it was in recess, and we were having an evening, a social evening, I think, in someone else's village hall, and I was staying with a friend. And we went back late and just talked and talked. She was one of my friends and had quite a large party staying in the village. And so we just gathered in the kitchen and talked. And I was asked about my interests, and naturally I began to talk about politics. But I knew that I couldn't afford to be a member of Parliament. They had very little pay then, and I had to earn my own living. And so I never really formed any ambition to become a member of Parliament, but I just talked about the things which I love to talk about. Till all of a sudden one of the guests said, "You want to be a member of Parliament, don't you?" And I said, "Yes." You know, but someone else had to crystallize the feeling. Then I knew it was what I wanted to be.
When you became an MP in 1959, did you have any thoughts at all that there could be a woman Prime Minister?
No, I didn't. Indeed, I think I was asked at one stage, do you think there'll ever be a woman Prime Minister? And I think I said, no, not in my lifetime. But you can't foresee what's going to happen. No one can. And you take life, not in years, you take it a day at a time. And if you just do the best you can with each day, well, you may go to number 10.
You talked about the family. Of course, you've had tremendous support from yours. How does your husband feel about having to take a back seat?
Oh, my dear, he doesn't. Quite okay. And he has his own career, his own life, and he's pretty forthright on many things, and a very good thing, too. And he does a lot of work. He does a lot of work for many charities, for the Sports Aid Foundation, for anything rugby football. For him, rugby football is an absolute religion. So he goes out and does his own thing. And my goodness me, he says some forthright things, too. Marvellous.
Between 1953 and 1959, you became a barrister, you became an MP, and you also became a mother. Was it a shock when you discovered you were expecting the twins? Or twins?
Yes, it was, because I didn't know until the day they were born. I had no idea the twins were coming. They were born a little early. They were born 6 or 7 weeks early. As sometimes happens with twins, they started to come early. And it was not terribly easy. And the doctor suddenly said to me, I think there are 2 there. And I remember saying, well, I hope you can get both of them. But you know, it can be a little bit difficult. And he was just very skilled. And my goodness me, they're both very, very strong personalities. So was it a shock? Well, you know, you just take anything that you're told at such a time. And all right, yes, they were born. Thank goodness they're healthy. Does anyone mind? You know, if they're healthy and wonderful, you're very, very lucky.
I am the father of twins, and I insured against it, so I did suspect.
No, I insured against it.
Do they still turn to you for advice?
I think we all turn to families for advice. I mean, I turn to families for advice. I mean, I will say when they have watched this show, well, how was it? And my dear, they will tell me. Or sometimes I will read things in the paper. Sometimes they're very cruel. Sometimes I know they're not true. But sometimes you will read something from a friendly journalist, and it'll make you think. And you say, well, now, look, is that right? And again, your family will tell you, this is what families are for. So I turn to them for advice. And, of course, they'll turn to me for advice sometimes and say, look, what do you think, Mum? And Carol, of course, as you know, is on television sometimes. And sometimes she's on radio. And she often takes over at very difficult times. She goes in Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and she does a phone-in show. And if you're doing a phone-in show from about 10 o'clock at night to 2 o'clock in the morning, there comes a time when you don't really get many people phoning in. So I said to her Christmas night when she just went up to the show, well, if you're short of telephone callers, dear, just phone me. Just after midnight. She said, Mum, I've run out. I said, all right, I'll keep you going for 20 minutes.
How marvellous. Do you still get the opportunity to get together very often as a family?
Not often enough. But when we were all living together, which we're not now, yes, always late at night, and we would just sit down and exchange experiences. A family just keeps you down to earth. I wouldn't be without one. I wouldn't be without one. It'd be very difficult to do my job without one. You've got to have someone to whom you can let your hair down and talk to.